Okay, so how many of you are joining the seminar for the first time? How many of you are attending this seminar for the first time? Seminar by GREH. Shawnee says me, Pratik says me, okay. Yash, Lakshay, Smith, Ashwin, Sai, Teja. Okay, so for those guys who are the first time, you can see on the top right hand side, you can see a chat box. Okay, you can use the chat box to post your questions. I'll be able to see it and post your questions to our guest today. Okay, so on the top right hand side, you can see a chat box. I just type in yes, so I understand the system works perfectly. Yes, Shravani, from the mobile phone, it's a question mark, the question mark symbol on the mobile phone. Okay, so my voice is loud and clear, right? So just one last, I think one of you said is not clear, so I just want to check that. Pretty loud. Okay, good. Okay, so today's seminar is about Mr. Abhimanyu, who's going to join us from Purdue, who's going to give us a trip towards Purdue and is going to talk in detail about his admission counseling, how did he prepare for GRE, what all he went through to get a top admit, scoring T20, from the journey of thinking of doing masters till what he's doing right now and what is going to be the future is going to be the part of discussion. So before we get started, I want to understand, what is the expectation from today's seminar? What would you like to know from today's seminar? Okay, Chinmay, my name is Kamal Khan. I am the host for today. Okay, Mr. Abhi has joined. I'll give an introduction and we'll get started. Okay, so before we get started, I would like to understand what is the expectation from today's seminar. Okay, skills sector for pursuing masters. Okay, how can we get it? How do we settle down? Knowing H1B visa cancelled till December, how is going to affect? Okay. Perks of being a student at Purdue, scope of masters in US, credibility, how to get top admits, situation regarding OPT. If we are planning for MS in US this year, what should we do? Okay. Why should we go to US? Why is US still the best option? Profile building, what should one do to get a top admit? How to prepare for GRE? How to target a GRE score? I'll tell you, wherever you type, can't find a chat box, it's the chat box where you have to type in your answers. Okay. How difficult is to get an admit from Purdue? Okay. How does he manage his finances? Okay. How about scholarships? Okay. Now, what we're going to discuss is, I'll show you the agenda, but we are going to discuss about how we first, prepared for GRE. How did he apply for top university? And after he went there, what all he has done so far. He's also doing an internship right now, so he'll also tell us about it. And one more, people who can wait, for a end of seminar, as one more way, he got a funding even before, going to US by following up professors on WhatsApp. He's going to tell you the secrets on how he has done it. We are going to talk about it in detail. Okay, so please hold on till the end of session. We'll have a 1 hour session. Okay, then we'll spend 15-20 minutes on a Q&A part. Okay, I'll try to finish off the PPT as early as possible, but we'll focus on getting you as much of information as possible. So can we get started? Just type in yes so that we can get started quickly. Okay, so once again, welcome everyone who's attending this seminar. Let me introduce myself. My name is Kamakon. I take care of the admission counseling here in GREH. And today we have a special guest, Mr. Abhimanyu, who's joining us from Purdue, live from Purdue. I think he's going to share a lot of information about preparation, about admission, and the life at US and Purdue. We'll talk about it in detail. But before that, we have a couple of polls in the beginning to understand whom we are talking to. Okay, Abhimanyu and we want to understand who we are talking to. So we are launching the first poll here. Okay. Okay, most of our students, okay, most of the people who are attending the seminar are working professional. Okay, I'll show you the results also. Thank you for answering the poll. Okay, most of you are working professionals. Okay, I think that helps because we only also was a working professional before he applied, so we have a lot more in common. Which MS intake you guys are targeting for? Okay, mostly for 2021. All right, thank you for answering it. Okay, 68% of you are going for fall 2021. Okay, one last for you. When are you guys planning to take a GRE? If you're already taking a GRE, you can mention your GRE scores here. Okay, most of you are planning to take it between 30 to 48 days, 30 to 45 days. Okay, some of you already taken a GRE score 329, 304, 310, 310, good. 312 is the score. Okay. 316, 312, 305. Awesome. Okay. We are back, and let me introduce our guest today. Okay. Our guest, Mr. Abhimanyu. Okay. Joining us from Purdue, has done CUG in Mechanical Engineering at Nagpur University, has a CGPA at 9.4 and worked as Reliance. So he's going to share a lot more information. I want you guys to be very receptive and ask all your questions. Let's make the seminar as interactive as we can. We'll ensure that we ask all the questions to Mr. Abhimanyu and let him. He's here to give a lot more information. I think without further ado, I'll bring him on screen. Abhimanyu, are you able to hear us? Can you? Am I audible?
Yeah.
Okay, right. If you can turn on your webcam.
Hello, everyone.
Hello. So yeah, everyone, guys, are you able to hear Abhimanyu? Is the voice loud and clear? Are you able to see? Loud and clear. Okay, good. Okay. Thank you, Abhimanyu, for joining us. Okay. One important question which a lot of students had is what we're going to discuss at first. That is, but why is US still a best option? But before we go on and answer that question, I want you to tell me how is the US and how is life over there?
So when you come over here in US, the people here are very helpful. They are it's a community here. Back in Purdue, we have like an Indian community. Like it's a place like a hostel that everyone lives. So you'll never feel away from your home. People are very close here, and the American culture is very much receptive and helpful, and they're very kind. They will always guide you. They're ready to help you. Apart from that, the teaching methodologies are also quite different from what I have experienced in India.
All right. Okay. So we'll go in detail about the teaching methodology as we go on further. But one question students find is like still go for fall 2021 or is US is the best option? What is the answer for it?
So understanding that why US was the best option earlier as well is I think the answer for this one. So the credibility of the US universities that it provides and the global recognition, I think it is very much imperative in this direction. And also the way the companies are coming over here and the way recruitments happen, the way the cost of living is a big question mark to some people. It is way cheaper to live in US in some areas compared to Canada as well. So like Purdue is way cheaper than Canada. So
Is it?
although, sorry.
Yeah, please continue.
Yeah, so Purdue, like some areas, some colleges have like more cheaper options than Canada as well. So it helps to maintain the fact that yes, US is still the best option for MS.
Right. Okay. With the current situation, there's a lot of rumors or about OPT suspension, but already there's H1B suspension till December. How are people taking it there, or how is it affecting them?
It has definitely taken its toll, and people are definitely hit by it. A lot of my friends like had their internship offer taken back. A lot of my friends are still doing internships. So it has affected it positively, negatively, both. Uh, when I say positively, it is for the students that may come in spring. They have the most clear advantage. Little bit advantage may also be available to the fall 2020 students
Okay.
because
Mhm.
but
Please continue. Please continue.
so for the fall 2020 it is important because the US market has already started to revive. We are in the second phase of coronavirus, so yes, but still the factories are running up and the market. So a lot of people have been fired or laid off during this time, and the job urgency will come back again, and it's expected to be there in September October period of this year.
Right. You are telling me your factory is actually running at full capacity, actually 120% capacity. Is that right?
So a lot of factories are already running at 110, 120% capacity, and
Mhm.
slowly the economy is starting to revive here. Yes, the public areas are still restricted for due to social distancing norms, but yes, the work is under progress now. So we are expected to be like fully revived by September last week and October.
Okay, right. So before going for the GRE preparation and everything, few questions. Maybe I'll pick one or two questions here. How will the job prospect look like? How does it look for Indians, especially in US, with regards to the situation right now?
So I don't think anyone would be able to come to fall 2020 due to the travel
Mm-hmm.
restrictions and the travel bans and the
Mm-hmm.
inability of the US embassy right now to give any visas out due to the Trump's order already. But for
Right.
sure, we have the second largest population in terms of students at
Mm-hmm.
Purdue, and in most of the colleges, we are either first or second. So a lot of companies do look out for us and our community. So our alumni also help us in securing those placements and internships a lot.
Right. You're quite very happy about the community in US. So before we go forward, can you describe in detail about how do they help you?
So when I say the community is strong, that means that it's you always have Indians around you that are ready to help you in every step. So we have done we do a lot of activities together, and
Mhm.
some area in like right now where I live in Columbus, we also do
Mhm.
Ganesh Chaturthi and all those things. I'm not sure if we are able to do this year, but like till last year we were able to do it.
Right. Okay.
Creates a sense of belonging again.
Okay. So it's a home away from home, and it's more comfortable there.
Yes, I feel it more comfortable here.
Right. Okay. So the next question is, why did you want to do a master's degree? And follow up would be, why did you choose US for it?
So master's degree was important because like when I was doing my training in Reliance Industries Limited, the thing was that I got from a trainee to a manager, and I wanted to manage. I had to manage a lot of things, and I often went to meetings, but I felt that I was not able to comprehend all the things that were like shown or discussed. So I always felt a gap, and I wanted to grow in my career. So I thought that I would shift myself to a corporate role, and that's the reason why I did masters in my first place. And
Okay.
choosing US, as I said, it is globally recognized. That's the reason I chose US.
Okay. Um, we'll segregate this section into three parts. We'll talk about admission counseling and COVID and impacts later. We'll focus on your GRE preparation. We'll start off with the first step here. You have scored a massive 24 and 168 in quants is a really good score. Can you elaborate your timeline and what did you do? On screen, you can see the timeline which are given, but you have achieved your target score in a quant. So what did you do in detail?
So rightly said, 2017, I started preparing for GRE, but and then again in August, I joined Reliance Industries, so it was a bit tough for me to like keep up with my regular tests and all. So, but I started properly preparing it from December, and in between, and that was I realized that I have to prepare it properly because of the diagnostic score that is mentioned there, 3 and 10. It was like
Right.
it hurted me a lot. So based on, I had to be a little bit pragmatic about my situation. So I kept an okay target score. I did not want a perfect 340. Was not running behind it. So getting my study plans was skewed by SFAs a lot. Like they helped me a lot on this one. So they used to like assign some worksheets, assign some like say 5 passages today. You have to do this by today. So I used to like try to work them out during the weekends and understanding that how I can do the best job there. Then
Right.
from
Mhm.
um, from December, I started solving more and more questions regarding the quant and verbal. So started practicing more tests, started practicing more passages because passages I was struggling with during my preparation time. And
Mhm.
then in the last few I must say in the last 20 days I did uh, 3 tests of GRE's Edge. I had given 7 before that were adaptive, and last one was I gave the ETS one, and then I took the GRE.
Okay. So we'll go in detail about each and every aspect, your quantitative part. 168 is a very good score in quants. How did you prepare for it? I know that you're strong in quants, but what was the key to get 168?
So I was not focusing on getting a perfect 170. That helped me to ease the pressure off me. So
Mhm.
second thing was that I used to practice a lot of questions. In this, I would really I was happy with the GRE Edge preparation that was provided to me, and
Right.
I think it was apt enough. It starts from the basics and it takes you to a level there, and we can then always continue to practice more and more from like online free test or something like that.
Okay, right. So practice is a key, and one thing which you have been doing continuously more and more practice. Does it go is it very relevant? Can I say that practice also made you good in learning words and with the verbal part?
So practice did help me in verbal as well. Like when you start solving a lot of reading comprehensions, it helps you to understand. It helps you to shape your mind. It's just like your aptitude. But verbal also is dependent on words, how much you know, how strong is your vocab. For that, I'm really happy with WordBot for sure. I used to do the mnemonics and the idea to remember the words with the images. But the thing I used without before what I'm saying this, I screwed it up because I used to assign different images for the same words, like those were synonyms. So I often got confused in that. With WordBot, that was a big advantage, so that I started associating all the words as a single image, which had a similar meaning. So it helped me to remember the words better. Second, during
Right.
reading comprehension, sorry.
No, carry on, please carry on.
So during the reading comprehension, during the review time, I used to write the antonyms, synonyms of the words that were asked. Like, so usually in reading comprehension, out of all the questions, 33% questions are word, like they ask the meaning for the word. So that I try to do that.
Okay, right. So let me ask students here. How many of you do actually face issues with your learning words or remembering words? Or any question with regarding to that? Giri says me, Bhavna, most of you. Okay. See, getting 156 in verbal is not an easy task. Okay, it might be lower than your expectation, but even then, 156 is a huge task for most of the students. Okay, how do you think particular students should approach verbal part?
So reading comprehension and sentence completion, they make most of the verbal part. So for both of them, you need a good vocab. So please continue to practice your vocab at all the given possible times. Start playing games which have a vocab in it. Like WordBot is one, has offered a lot of games, and it also offers a lot of practice. Also, stick to the strategies by solving the RC. Like RC is like, so you have to watch out for the turns, you have to watch out for the keywords, you have to watch out for a lot of things, but also understanding the fact that you always do not need to read the passage and in entirety. So that helps to save a lot of time. So sticking with the strategies is very much relevant in here.
Okay, right. One more question which comes up is that I think a question from Abhijit. How do you remember so many words for so long? I used to lose track of it, but how do you keep practicing is a question from Abhijit.
So of course, it's a very difficult task to remember the words. If you ask me today if I remember all the words, I will not be sure that I will be able to confidently say yes on that. It is like
Right.
so it's just like used to, and I'm going to give a very weird example for this. So you used to use vomit earlier. Now you use the word puke, right? And it keeps on refining yourself. It's just like how you're going to keep refining your words, the way in the normal usage. It's not always possible to use all the words, but yes, you can try to use some of them. Stick to the root word methodology as well. So root word sometimes is very confusing, but in most cases it works. So you can have, like, given the benefit of doubt, you can always take the larger approach and get it done with.
Right. So one question. Okay. How about RC? How did you approach RC?
So RC questions are like mostly divided into three parts. Like what I have categorized them into. I'm not sure it is a global characterization, but one would be like the it would be like they will be giving a section of the paragraph, and usually the section of the paragraph has a lot of twists and turns, and they would ask you the most logical reason out of it. So that's like it's written right there. You just have to spot the answer. Second one is critical reasoning. I
Right.
hate those questions because they force you to read between the lines. When I say read between the lines, meaning that they want you to understand what the passage is saying. They want to understand. You have to think from the reader's perspective. Correction, writer's perspective as a reader, and those ones are a bit difficult to track and difficult to we often lose some point, and then it becomes very difficult to answer them in the correct manner. And trust me when I say this, there were times in RC when I was solving RC that there are like, it always felt to me that two options are always correct, you know. But and that was a very horrible time because I used to mark always the option which was not correct. So I
Right.
started with scoring 1 or 2 out of 15, 20 in RC. To my
Mhm.
TOEFL, when I gave my TOEFL, I scored 30 on 30 in RC. So it's a practice, 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 practice. Nothing more.
Right. Okay. So more practice will help you to understand and do it better. But question on AWA. I know that we'll come to AWA, but for students who are looking for, did words help you in RC? Learning words help you in RC?
In RC, it helps you to understand when you once you know the word, you don't.
Mm-hmm.
So usually the words help you to identify the twists and turns of the passage. Sometimes the word like an incumbent is it sounds like a negative word, but it means mandatory, of course, in a negative sense. But now when you know it, then you know that the passage is going to turn from here. You can expect a turn from
Right.
there. So it helps you to identify those key points. And secondly, to answer the questions that are like synonym antonym questions or similar words, something like that, questions in RC.
Right.
It also improves your verb AWA though. So you do not have to be very much flamboyant with your language in AWA, because uh, please do note that in AWA, one of the key aspect is to keep the passage readable, the writing
Mm-hmm.
readable. You don't have to exemplify your vocab there. It's not necessarily. You don't have to be flamboyant and bold with the words. It's just that you do not use the words in the normal usage, but stick to
Right.
words that are like acceptable versions of it, like we would find in the scientific journals or newspaper articles. The thinking tree in Times of India, you can download it like on free for on the Google Chrome. Just read it. You will instantaneously know what kind of language you want to write.
Okay. I think AWA was one of your major areas. We'll discuss about it because I think that was your sense of the weak area in your profile that you wanted to improve before you took a GR, right?
AWA, I struggled a lot because I had never written or presented. I had presented my vocal opinions vocally, but never on a piece of paper in a
Mhm.
collection of words which actually made sense. So it was a place where I struggled a lot.
Okay, right. So before we go for, I think a lot of our students are asking for a link for WordBot. You can see the QR code on the screen, and Shivguna also will be sending a link, guys. Shiva, you can also send our audience a link for the for WordBot, as well as if you guys want to take a scanned copy, you can do it on the screen right now. If you're logging to your mobile, just take a screenshot and then you can scan the QR code to lead you to the WordBot website. Okay, I'll give you 1 minute for you to scan. But so coming back to AWA, Radhika wants to know any AWA tips. Can you tell me about how should we go about AWA?
So I think during your English class during 12th standard, you must have learned this. And I'm going to take you way back because when you started writing your letters, when you started writing your essays, remember what your English teacher told you. I ignored her, but yeah, you should not actually. So they always told you to write a passage in a structure, you know. Uh, just try to understand like how the reading comprehensions are there. They are following a structure. So it's not like the twists and turns are uncalled for. So
Mhm.
it's not that so when you're writing an essay for the motion, it's not that you cannot criticize it. You can use the criticism for as the positive motivation which supports the for the motion. So something like
Mhm.
that. So this enhances your ability to communicate your ideas on the piece of paper, and also it helps you to write at length about an issue that you feel about.
Right. Okay. So before we go on with your, with your preparation for, before we go on with your preparation to get into a top admit, we are talking about an SFA and the concept of SFA. Can you, from your perspective, we have been telling what an SFA is to our student. From your perspective, what does a SFA do, and how do they help you out?
So SFA, my SFAs were responsible basically for, so when you give a, like say, a small test, or when you answer questions on GRE Edge, so they will so all of that are recorded and all are sent to the SFA. So and then they analyze your answers and they give you a feedback on it. That feedback helps because they will tell you that what you were thinking, what you should have thought, and how that question should have approached. So they provide guidance question by question to me. So that helped me a lot. And usually they already know, like, why did I screw that question. So it helps because they already know that what could be the possible reasons that we were thinking when we were choosing that option. And as I told you, my SFAs had to work a lot with me because out of 20 I used to do like 2 or 3 correct. So yeah, they had a painful time.
Okay, but eventually it worked out well, isn't it? The more the understanding of you, the more the tests you take, the more your feedback you get, it eventually led you to a good score. Okay, so before we go on with the Q&A with the admission part, okay, so one question for our audience is that if you want to get started with the GRE preparation, just like how Abhimanyu was talking about learning, practice, and get a feedback, with the SFA concept, who's going to understand your weak areas and suggest you how to improve. I'm sharing the QR here, training program with the offer here. Those who are join the seminar for Abhimanyu's seminar, you can get a special discount on the program. And also, I'll give you a minute for you to scan the code. Right. So meanwhile, if you are not able to scan it, I also launched a poll here. You can answer the poll if you want to get started with a GRE preparation now in order to get ready for fall 2021. Do answer the poll here. We'll get back to you with with our counseling team calling you and suggesting the right program and helping you join the right program to get started with your GRE preparation. Right. Okay. Moving on. The big question, Abhimanyu, we are going to talk about admissions in detail. Why did you choose Purdue? Before you answer that, I'll have a follow-up question here. How many universities did you apply, and why did you choose Purdue?
So I applied for 10 universities, got admitted in 9.
Right.
Purdue because so it was all dependent on my ranking matrix. I have a very different ranking matrix, and I usually assign my the college choosing on that. So with the help of my parents and a really good friend of mine, Pooja, we finally decided this ranking matrix. So the ranking matrix was curriculum, then there was CPT flexibility. For all those who are not knowing what CPT is, it's basically your authorization to work in US during your internship for 1 year. Then the next one was like how much is the is curriculum flexible. So curriculum is one thing, but flexibility in curriculum is another thing. Then also what would we do if we are having like so just a second. Yes, I forgot one in between. So it was curriculum, then it was my CPT, then it was the college rank, then the domestic and international students getting placement rates, and the last one being the location and fees.
Right.
So these all matter actually a lot.
Okay, so we'll discuss in detail about this, about curriculum. You chose 10 universities. How many did how was the shortlisting process? How did you do it?
So my shortlisting process actually was a bit of funny because usually the shortlisting is done and then you give your GRE. I already had given my GRE. So,
Right.
but then we filtered the colleges that I could have applied to, and so from a list of 40 colleges that are provided to me, I finally selected like we narrowed it down to first 20, and then the last we were like at 12. But after
Right.
that, based on those are all filtered on curriculum. The rest all the university's curriculum I did not align myself with, depending on what my career goals are. Then moving ahead, the second most important point was CPT, because I wanted to understand like what is the flexibility for the CPT, and how early can I go. So I chose Purdue over Duke for this reason actually,
Right.
because
See, because
Duke has,
Duke is one of the topmost ranked university for engineering management, and you got a funding as well, right? But you
yes,
rejected it and got in Purdue.
the reason I must say, I will not say rejected. I said I politely declined to join Duke. The reason being that Purdue has the best CPT scenario flexibility, because most of the colleges require F1 students to continue in 2 semesters for their before they can go for CPT. Purdue gives me the flexibility to do it out in just 1 semester.
Okay,
Again,
so
this is
just to explain our
custom to
audience,
my program.
just to explain our audience, CPT is usually given or done after you finish 2 semesters. You can do a CPT for 3 months. There is curriculum practical training. You can do it for 3 months. But Purdue, you're allowed to do it for 1 year, even after 1 semester. Am I right?
So yes, so in Purdue, most of the colleges, so CPT as per US laws, USIC laws, they are allowed for not more than 360 days. Purdue allows you to complete those 360 days without any problem. Like
Okay.
most of the colleges will tell you that we'll only support for 3 months, but Purdue does throughout.
Sure. So meaning that you attended your master semester only one semester you attended so far, and from
Yes,
January you're on an internship period.
correct.
Right. So why is internship important during this, and what has that led you?
So internship is very important here because please understand that I was a hardcore working mechanical engineer, working not hard working, okay, but working mechanical engineer, and then I wanted to shift myself to a corporate job. So the transition requires experience, and I don't think that I would justify the transition within 3 months. Like there's a lot to
Mhm.
learn when you are on the other side of the table making all the decisions, making all the
Mhm.
strategies. So right now that is very much important for me to learn from here, and that's the reason I wanted to shift for at least go for 1 year for the internship. Also, when you go for a 1 year internship, not just 1 year, above 6 months, anything above 6 months in a single company, you are pretty sure to get a pre-placement offer, which is
Right.
very much common in India as well. So, but the
Mhm.
pre-placement offer here is it is it's like the full-time offer. You sign the document, and it is very much important because the conversion rate is usually indeed above 95%.
Mhm.
Of course, take into consideration the performance.
Okay. Right. Now you've been doing a CPT, and you've also been offered a full time, if I'm not wrong.
I got the offer day just yesterday. So
Okay.
yeah,
Congrats. So you're not yet finished your masters, and you're done only one semester, but because of the internship period, you have already have a full time offer with you.
yes.
Awesome. Isn't that wonderful news, guys? You know, one semester internship and already offer on cards. But are you panicked about H1B and anything
So I don't. So let's
with the
understand this
current
very much.
situation?
So H1B is not required for me for the at least for the next. So if you even if OPT STEM extension is cancelled, I still have another one more year for applying for my H1B. That gives me basically 2 years before I can like
Mhm.
two chances to apply for my H1B,
Right.
because next year and the next to next year before my OPT ends. So two lottery systems, that is basically four chances in total for H1B
Mhm.
I'm eligible for.
Okay. So good. Okay. So there's no worries, and you are back to Purdue when?
I would be going back to Purdue in January. I'm just waiting for it.
Okay, so Jan. So you have another 6 more months of internship.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So going back to your timeline about admission and going about shortlisting university, can you give a brief idea about what have we done so far so that our students also? I think you joined admission counseling pretty early. We tell our students to apply early. That's what you have done so far. Can you give a brief timeline just about what you've done?
So as I said, I had already given my GRE, so it was like crazy, and I had not given my TOEFL. So like my admission onboarding process happened like pretty staggered. Like they were like, yes, you have to also give TOEFL. Do not forget that. And I was this was during my training period at Reliance. So not exactly, we do not. So as you know, the trainings do not usually get the amount of holidays that a normal employee gets. So I shifted my TOEFL to August, and then by the time, but we did not waste our time there. We started preparing for my SOP. We took a target score of TOEFL for like 115 something, so that if we do not achieve it, we'll just replace that number and
Mhm.
just move ahead with it. So then once the shortlisting was done, with the help of my uh, parents and Pooja, then I started finalizing the universities. And then the SOP and LOI preparation took a lot of time. There, so there were times like I used to come from training, and there was a big questionnaire sitting at my desk. The questionnaires are
Mhm.
really big,
Right.
too much to fit. But they ask you a lot of questions, which force you to think about your
Mhm.
profile. Like there were times at between the when I was applying that yes, I'm doing the right thing. It built up my conviction. So your SOP is basically a story why you're doing that. So it helped me to
Mhm.
build my story and you know believe in myself when I was telling my story to everyone. So it
Mhm.
brought out a sense of confidence in me in there. And then as soon as the admission opened, so we had already
Mhm.
created the username passwords for all the universities, and my so filling application is one thing, filling
Mhm.
it rightly is another thing. I did manage to so I have done all the mistakes that are humanly possible while filling an application despite my best attempts, and but it got corrected at the proper time before the application was submitted. And
Mhm.
SOPs, LORs, they were like, I don't know, rewritten, maybe 15 times, 10 times, but always it took into consideration that what I wanted to say, how my story
Mhm.
aligns. They took my feedback every time. So I think it's a good thing.
Right. We'll talk in detail about SOP because people do understand GRE, GPA, the concept because it's numerical. They do understand the importance of GRE and GPA because it's numerical. But SOP, it's not numerical, no one's able to quantify it. But I think SOP has big advantages to perform. That's why you
So
were at that 10, 15 iteration. So the detailed analysis of SOP.
SOP is basically a story why you're going to do that masters or undergrad or whatever you are planning to do at the university, US university. Now, SOP is very important. It usually accounts for 25 to 30% of your application process weightage. Your GPA and all are far less significant than your SOP. And the reason why it is very important is because they want to understand like what is going on in the student's mindset before they join the program. That
Right.
helps to control the thinking and the like-mindedness. They want to bring diversity here. They don't want all
Mhm.
people swimming in the same direction. They want it to challenge. They want them to be curious. They want people who want to ask questions and are not ready to and are not having any fears and are ready to do it like whenever they want to. So
Right.
all those things and a convincing story helps you to get an SOP, proper SOP.
Right. But you had an issue with, the number of questionnaires waiting for you at the end of the day, every day after you come back. The length of the questionnaires from GREH.
That was painful, but because working in the industry, working as a professional, and then because I was a field engineer, so I had to walk a lot, so a lot of physical exertion. And after that, coming home and trying to write my own story, trying to be creative in that, which was absolutely not required. That I learned
Mhm.
later. But yes, so there were like around, I think, 50 questions, if I'm not wrong, 40-50 questions in the SOP questionnaire, which slowly and slowly tried to get my answers from each aspect of my life.
Right.
Uh, Master SOP, they gave me like 10 days to fill it, but I completed it in 28 days.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, okay, right. So the iteration, we are talking about iteration 10, 15 times. Why is it important to review your SOP and modify it according to your university?
So the iterations were based on the fact that sometimes I was not comfortable with the wordings that were used, or sometimes the details that were shared. Sometimes sometimes what I wanted to share was not relevant to the university, because every university has, as I said, a very different aspect. They have a very different word limits, sentence structure, and everything. So that needs to be taken care of. And depending on the class profile, you have to, also it you may think it does not matter, but it does matter if you're how you present yourself in the SOP.
Mhm.
So that's the reason why there were so many iterations.
Okay, right. So I think that eventually paid off. That means that you get started with admission as early as possible. Give yourself enough time so that you have time to review SOP, iterate SOP, and work on it. Am I right?
Correct. It is the reason that we do this early in, because it's also one of the reasons is that you have to, um, get your admission within the first round. The first round is very important as
Okay.
compared to the other rounds, because it has very much less competition and the seats are pretty much open.
Okay. So you applied by October. By October mid, you are actually applied for many of the universities, right?
So as soon as the application deadline submission opened,
Mhm.
so we started applying. We started submitting the applications within the first 2 weeks of our the timeline, because we were pretty much ready with our applications. Everything was already set. We just had to attach the relevant documents and just send it over.
Okay, so if you have to reiterate to students, I've been telling students to start early. Maybe you in a way validated me, saying that the sooner you start, you have enough time to prepare. You have enough time to take GRE off your plate, then focus on your admissions, write your SOP, take that off your plate, and be ready for your admissions by October, November. Okay, I think that should be a focus, guys. Please do start your admission process. Not yet started so far for fall 2021. Now, one major question is funding via WhatsApp. That's one thing. How did you get your funding via WhatsApp, or how do you follow up with profs? You got a funding even before you went to US. So can you elaborate on that?
So a lot of websites, if you search, do not beware of the scams that are also there. So let being very honest here. So I leveraged both LinkedIn and WhatsApp for this. So we used to connect a lot. There are WhatsApp groups through link on which you can connect with like-minded people who help you with applying for a scholarship process. And also connecting with your professors on LinkedIn also helps you to get projects well before you enter. If you would see that, and all those who are joining, um, to get a job, part-time job in the campus, it's often recommended to start applying as soon as you have your admit, like at least 2 or 3 months before the job, because most of the people apply by then. So when I say part-time jobs, I do not mean on the during in the restaurants and all. I mean under professors doing your TA and RA work under the professors, because those spots fill pretty much very fast.
Right.
So
Okay. Please continue.
So via LinkedIn, you can contact the professors. You can always find the details of the faculty on the college website you are applying to, and once you connect with and you also can try to connect. Just don't connect with the professor. Connect with the RA and TAs for those. They will always guide you for the LinkedIn's and WhatsApp groups that are relevant for that, and then you can start getting the fundings and start getting the scholarships.
Right. Okay. Right. Now, many students usually feel this. They find it that it's difficult to, get a reply from a prof. How did you achieve it?
So when you choose a subject, you choose it for a particular reason. Mostly, if you can mention that reason, it helps. Like I get about 100 or 200 requests for connection of like a week. I reject 90 of them. Why? Because most of them do not carry a message. Like, why do they want to be my connection? So there is no point in accepting them. So
Right.
writing a message in the when you send a connection request, it helps. Also, please review their profile very carefully before you even send a connection request. I did this once that and it was an honest mistake. I sent it to the wrong professor, and he replied back that I am not in this field, sorry, and he rejected my connection request. So
Right.
uh, so I would say that please read his profile very clearly, and then try to understand like what projects he's doing. If you and no professor would mention his ongoing projects. Like you would, it's always a question like, where can I find the current projects? Where can I find the current projects? You won't find it online on the website of the college or anything. You have to look at the professor's profile. Like, yes, this is the type of projects he has done in the past. He might, and you have to make your own projections on that, and then you can ask the professor if he's continuing the projects in the same line or has he changed his direction. All of this information comes from LinkedIn and not from anywhere else. And LinkedIn, the best thing is if you send even I today when I send a connection request to 10 people, only 2 or 3 replies. So don't be rejected by it. The
Right.
rate is usually 20-30%, but you have to be comfortable around it.
Okay. To talk more about funding. How does a student go to university and get more funding? Because not too many students get funding during the admission. After they go there, what should one do to get a funding?
So once you are in college, like my program does not support any scholarships. Like Purdue does not offer any scholarship for or TA or RA positions for our program. So
For engineering management.
engineering management, yes. But
Right.
for other programs, there is there. So usually the professor will help you in this. So the relation with your professor helps a lot in this. So the professor will not only give you a project in which you have to work, so he will also pay you, and it will also give you credit hours, so which essentially is your entire admission process, means and reason for admission is
Okay.
served there.
You actually pay yourself and redeem yourself whatever money you spent or going to spend for your now.
We never pay from our pocket. It's always done from college one.
Okay.
The professor
Right.
assigns the funds already.
Okay, so knowing the professor details is very important for two things in order to understand what kind of research is happening. Plus, one more thing is to ensure that your profile, if you apply to a right prof which has similar research work, you have better chance of getting a scholarship or the funding. Can I
Correct.
take a word? Right.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so before we go forward, okay, we are going to talk more in detail about COVID and impacts on the U.S. economy. What do you think of H1B? I just need one. I have one question based on GRE admission counseling. What did you feel about admission counseling from start to end?
It's mentioned correctly. It helped me a lot filling my applications and doing my application work, like writing my SOP, LORs, and fine tuning my resume as well. So I vouch for it.
Right. Okay. So if you're interested to join the admission counseling program, just like Abhimanyu, and want to get help from your entire admission process from shortlisting for SOP till you take your visa, you can answer the poll here, and we can get Abhimanyu back to answer a lot of your questions. Okay. we are back, and COVID and impact. Okay, so that's one major question a lot of our students are asking. So before we go for, did you have any research paper publication? That's a, many of our students are asking the question.
No, not that high level student. Sorry to disappoint
Right.
all of you.
No, it's okay because a lot of the students feel that I should have a publish this paper in order to get a top score, which is need not be the case in most universities. Depends on the profile. Right. So, okay. Now coming back to Purdue, you like Purdue, you like the environment here. You have to go back and finish another semesters or 2 semesters.
One.
How many more semesters you have to complete?
One more semester. One more.
One more semester. Okay. So this 1 year will be considered as your, how does it put yourself in your grading system?
So I'm doing engineering management with professional practice. So it has it is structured like this, like you have one semester at Purdue, then you get 1 year for internship, and then you have one more semester, and you're done.
Mm-hmm.
So it's 21 months total program.
Okay, by next year spring, you would have been done with your masters. Correct. With the spring lecture. Right. Okay. Right. So we'll have a lot of questions, but going forward with the COVID and the situation with COVID, how's the situation with COVID there, and what's the impact?
So just yesterday, I was just reviewing the numbers, and we have really impressed with the numbers that we have, 26 lakh now, and counting the number of cases. And yes, it is very tough over here, to be honest, not to be joking about it, but yeah, and about 1,28,000 deaths already. It's not the right direction we want to go in, but we are still going in there. And we are already experiencing the second wave of COVID back here in US. And impact, yes, for sure. Several people have been laid off. Several people have been fired. Several people have been put on furlough. And a few fortunate people have been able to manage to keep their jobs intact so far. A lot of internships got cancelled, but I think that the thing will continue to revive back. The economy is starting to get back. Social distancing is still in progress, and Purdue is one of those colleges that has offered offline option as well. So we will have in-campus classes. A lot of preventive measures and safety measures have been taken already. So, but it is one of the very few colleges that are having this ability to support such infrastructure and have the offline classes.
Okay. So do you think a student should take an online program if they are offering one semester online, or should they always prefer for offline?
So it really is dependent on the student, like how eager or how curious he is to join the college that he or she is applying to, because like I wanted to get out of my job pretty much fast. So had this option been given to me, I would have chosen the online option. But that's not necessarily the case with everyone. I would still recommend that yes, you should at least have one semester offline before you start any online courses, because it helps you to get acquainted with the campus and the way the assignments, homeworks, and all those things work. You have to understand that, because this is a very different way of teaching as compared to India.
Okay, so Amit, can you give more details about connecting with profs to WhatsApp or LinkedIn? How do you go about it? How do you select profs?
So when you select a program, like say, when I chose engineering management, I'll keep myself restricted to my example because it's relatively very easy to explain. So for my program, I had chosen like 6 subjects for my engineering and 4 from my management. So those subjects, I saw that who all offered them. So usually here, each subject is taught by at least 2 set of professors on 2 different times. So you can choose between those professors as well. This is a very good flexibility I like in here. Also, one of the points of teaching difference, yeah. And so I started understanding like what courses and what projects that professor is doing. so that just in case if I have to apply for an RA or TA, I could do that. I did that without knowing the fact that I was not eligible for RA. So a professor selected me, and then I got rejected due to college norms because I really cannot do anything in the direction.
Right. Okay. Okay. So Siddhant's question is: do you remember how many university you applied, and which other university applied? Not how many. Which other university applied?
I applied to Duke. I think Duke and Northeastern, Northwestern Michigan. I think ISC California also, and
Purdue, of course.
for sure, without doubt, Purdue and um, yeah, I think so.
You applied for Temple also, if I'm not wrong.
Temple, yes. Temple was the first university who gave me the admit. Yes, Temple.
Okay, that was in December. So you applied in October and got admission in December.
Yes.
Right. Okay. So a few more questions. Okay, I'm going to take in questions also. I'm going to. So if you have any question, guys, please post it. Okay, I'm trying to pick the relevant question here. Okay, let me see. Okay, guys, please post your question only once because I'm not able to see others' question. I have received Mohan's question. I have received an admit from Purdue University for fall 2020. I have deferred admit to fall 2021, but the program which I offer is PMP, Professional Master's Program, under the same degree as MS in Mechanical Engineering. Do you have an idea about the program? Can you explain this question from Mohan Krishna?
PMP in mechanical, I'm not sure. Like I have taken 2 courses in mechanical, but I'm not sure if I have the right approach to it. Sorry.
Okay, maybe you can tell us about the mechanical department since you've taken 2 courses. How's the department? Purdue mechanical is quite famous.
Yes, Purdue is renowned for its mechanical engineering. It's very tough. And when I say very tough, it means they test you like proper testing. Don't worry about the formulae. They don't give any importance to it. They're not concerned about your ability to learn the formulae. They are more concerned about the fact that how you apply them. So the entire structure of the course is focused on application and not on the formulae. In fact, they give you a cheat sheet in which you can always write down the formulae and you can carry that in the paper legally. It's like allowed by the professor. You don't have to do anything in that. And this is one of the most awesome things. So I have stopped remembering formulae from when I joined Purdue.
Right. Okay. So coming back to our suspension of H1B again here, Abhijit wants to know, does it affect the students who are going for fall 2021? Is the question.
Let me be very clear on this, and it is just to be to ease a lot of your minds. Understand how the H1B works. So H1B is currently being awarded. Still, there is a Facebook group on this, which is already in which people are posting the date of application for California and Dallas branch and Arizona branch, and they are getting H1Bs. So please understand, H1B is suspended, right? But it is suspended till when? 31st December 2020. The next H1B process does not start till February. Because in February, why I say February? Because in February, company usually chooses who they have to give H1B. In March, they apply. So we are very safe about that unless the administration decides to extend that date. So if I am in 2020 and I'm still feeling safe, I'm pretty sure that you are pretty much insulated in 2021. So don't worry about it at all.
Okay, that means that they're graduating in 2023. So I don't think so. That should be an issue at all.
No, should not be.
Okay. How is the teaching environment different in US is a question from Soumya.
Reiterating my point, you don't have to learn any formulae. Big advantage, saves you a lot of time. It is more application focused, so it will force you to think like, yes, I already know the formula, but where should I apply it? So this is a question that we always struggle with, and this is something which I learned here. Like, how should we decide like which formula to apply? The reference book and everything is already readily available in the libraries, and they usually do not like No professor will tell you that you have to study from this book only. Like back in India, with the college which I studied in, they recommended books like, yeah, this is your NCRT for this subject. No such case in
Mhm.
here. A lot of practice questions are given. Assignments are very our assignments are structured in a way that they are supposed to be, help you to understand your ability to grasp the topic. If you copy an assignment, you definitely get a 0 on the grounds of plagiarism. That is very clear here. And if you are the assignments are like usually quite big, or they are a high number. So either way, yeah, it's a lot of work done to make you understand the subject.
Mhm.
And the deadlines are quite rigid here. Like people have a lot of respect for time. So 1:30 means 1:30, and the class ends at 2:30. That means at 2:30. It's not 2:35. It's not 2:25.
Right.
And homeworks are also structured in a way that you are able to solve them, but they are not graded usually.
Okay. So one thing which I find from our students who go there every year is that for about first one week they'll be active after they go to US on social media, post a lot of posts, but they'll disappear for one semester. Is it very intense? A master's degree, is it very intense?
So let's remove this myth as well. In an engineering semester, you take 6 to 7 subjects, proper
Right.
6 to 7 engineering subjects, and you study all of them, right? And that's like done. Same thing you can do here. Like I took 5 subjects. I took 3 dancing classes. I was Purdue senator for my engineering management program, and I also chilled with my friends. So I think it's not intensive. It's like they just don't want to update it anymore.
Right. Okay.
It's better time management that's required.
Okay. So British question, and I have one more question which are relevant. I think Arshini's question. Is it better emailing profs or contacting via, LinkedIn? Arshini also has a follow-up question. How do you increase the chance of acceptance by a prof's contact?
So I'll give you an example for this. How do you accept a friend request on Facebook? You look for mutual friends, right? So if you connect with the current alumni, like the last 3 or 4 years max, don't go beyond that because professors usually don't remember their names. And
Right.
if you connect with the current students, that helps you to increase the chances of mutual connections. After that, you can directly so once you have like say 5 or 10 mutual connections between you and the professor, you can directly write a message about their projects. Please understand the mutual connections will be all mostly in line with their projects. So either that's a person has like done a TA shape or an RA, or has studied his professor's course at least,
Right.
has surveyed about it. So you can always discuss with the student, like, and trust me when I say this, not all students will accept and reply back, but most students do.
Okay. So question from Uday is that how about life in US and safety issues? Is it safe or what?
So one thing I love about US when I was walking on the streets was pedestrians get the priority no matter what. And when I'm driving the car, I hate that rule. So it's just the reverse psychology. But yes, safety is very much a priority over here. You must have seen a lot of videos in which people can call 911 and the police actually arrives. I was in an unfortunate accident back in Purdue when I slipped on the snow, and they did come within 2.5 minutes. So it's very
Right.
responsive, it's very responsible, and people do take care of, do give a very high regard to the rules that are there. And if you do not follow, pretty sure fines are very strict here.
Okay. Can people do part-time jobs? Is there more competition for part-time jobs? A question from Neha.
Yes, so you're always allowed to do part-time jobs. Every university has their own rules regarding part-time jobs. My university states that you can only do a part-time job which is paid by through Purdue University portal. So
Mhm.
that restricted some of the jobs that we wanted to do, but we could not do it. But please understand that all the jobs that are paid to Purdue University, like in my case, they were like ensuring that we are getting minimum wages, the minimum wage rule of 9.5, and all those per hour, of course, $9.5 per hour, and all those things. So we always have the benefits as well.
Okay, right. What kind of jobs? Can you tell me what are different jobs, part-time jobs?
So the there is no categorization like this. It's more like you starting from TA or an RA all the way to waiting tables and as a cashier at the restaurants that are so most of the restaurants in the college will be managed and run by the students itself. There will be a faculty involved definitely, but most of them are run by the students, part-time students who are working there, because like in our college most of the shops remain open at least 16 hours 18 hours a day, so they can't force one person to work for that long. So you can work up to 20 hours a day week, sorry, not day, 20 hours a week. That is the maximum that you can work for in US if you're on F1 visa.
So it's like $180 per week, or $20 is 180 if it's
No,
a minimum.
some jobs pay better, like 15 up to $15 also, 20 maybe also. So
Right.
some jobs
So
pay really good.
all the way from 180 to $400 is what the pay range can be per week.
Yes, per week, yes.
Okay, I think that substantially takes care of the living cost, isn't it?
So it's again a very big myth that living costs are very high. Yes, the accommodation is higher, no doubt, but there are various, like you have Big Bazaar and Apna Bazaar and Star Bazaar in India. We have Walmart, Walgreens, Sam's Club. Sam's Club is a paid membership though. Walmart and all they are free, so you can find them at reasonable prices as soon. And the prices will seem absurd for at least 3, 4, 5 months when you join here, because the obvious we start converting them into Indian currency, and then it feels like no, this is way too expensive. But when you start earning like that in those pay ranges, then you start becoming comfortable around it.
Right. Okay. Kevin's question is about automotive subjects. Or how's automotive course in Purdue or subjects? Do you have any idea?
Automobile, I have a few friends. They find I have not taken any automobile subjects because I was not inclined in that direction, but they find it really good, and the professors are absolutely brilliant in mechanical. I have experienced that in 2 courses as well, and the way they teach, the way they explain everything, and it's very easy to reach out to your professor or the teaching assistant, and they are ready to explain all the things that you're not understood.
Right. Okay. Vaishnavi's question is, what is your take on hostel facilities? Do you stay on campus or off campus? How do you?
So please do take care of the fact that do not bias yourself with on campus, off campus. Bias yourself with the community, because in the end, most of your friends will be living there, so you will end up staying there itself. So why not start with an apartment there itself?
Okay. Right. Which one? Which is cost effective?
So again, it is like always the university housing or the on-campus housing that is popularly called as, they are usually inclusive of all the things like electricity, water, rent, everything. When you are living off campus, you have to arrange for everything. So you have to bring your own mattress, you have to bring your own table. Everything is provided in the university housing, so they are a bit more expensive. But when you consider the long-term investment, then your off-campus housing helps you a lot. It's far more cheaper.
Okay. Right. I think we were talking about this yesterday when we were preparing for the seminar about the Indian community. Siddhan's question is Indian culture present at Purdue, and how many Indians pursue masters there?
We have the second largest population. We lost to China again this year. It's a very sad news to us already, but we expect to beat China next year for sure. We have taken a resolution for the same, and we keep encouraging that. Yes, all we usually you will be running between libraries and maybe some social activities and some. So you will be hanging out with your friends. That usually is the case. because the classes are pretty much widespread throughout the day. You can choose timings as per the class schedule. You can fit your schedule properly. So like what I used to do is I used to finish my classes within the first half of the day, and second half used to be like pretty much free for me, so that I can pursue my other agendas as well. So you have to plan it properly so that you do not end up running between things
Right.
and
Okay. So,
properly complete it. Yeah.
okay. Question from Pranav is I think it's already answered. Robotic. Okay. Automation. Is there a course for robotic automation which are familiar in Purdue?
There is a club also for that. I never applied
Mhm.
for it, so I'm not the best person to ask for it.
Okay. Talking about clubs, I think the last question is what kind of extracurricular activities happen in Purdue? Clubs or chapters? What does happen?
So chapters, I applied to Alpha, Beta, Theta, and all those chapters that are very much popular in here. You will see them in various movies. I did not get into that because mostly they want undergrad students in that for continuing the chapter for at least 4 years. So my application was rejected from all the 3 chapters I applied to. But extracurricular activities like we celebrate Republic Day and Independence Day, Ganesh Chaturthi, Diwali, and food is we party together, and usually it is you know it is within the community. Like we do a lot of so suppose if you stay at say launch apartment, then so launch apartment will have its own set of team like community building activities, like they will organize plant a sapling or going for a trek or playing games, just partying, potpourri and all those things. If you stay at launch or say stay at Purdue Village, you will have their own set of activities. So it's really dependent on the community that you stay in.
Okay, I think I must have made you go to bed early yesterday Friday night. You must be partying, so did I put you very early because it's quite early in Saturday?
Yes, Saturday it's very difficult to open the eyes before 9 a.m. or 10. Yeah, but it's fine. Happy to
Right.
be here.
Okay. Right. So Jen's question is one more question on is IELTS okay for US? Then yes, IELTS is absolutely fine. Most of the universities do accept IELTS. It's not mandatory that only to IELTS also is accepted. Okay.
IELTS is accepted also in Canada universities, so that's also an advantage. TOEFL is less good for Canada, but a good plus in US.
Okay. Um, okay. I'm just reviewing the questions here. Um, okay. Okay. Do you have friends? Okay. Still a question on community. Maybe I'll ask that maybe before I go for the core questions. Do you have friends only in Indian community? Do people of all communities exist together or is it divided? It's a question from Akash.
So the number of friends that I have in Indian community are far less than what I have in each community. So it's more of, as I said, I hang out with people in Indian community just to avoid the homesick feeling and to have a home away from home. And because I have not yet returned to India, and just last week, Trump announced the travel ban policy, which is going to be another challenge before I can travel home. And
Mhm.
exactly, the COVID situation is not conducive for calling my parents here as well. So
Mhm.
that helps to sometimes you will feel very homesick. It's if you stay at home for extended periods of time, like in this COVID period. But yes, apart from that, all two communities are very mixing. They are very much welcoming. You can always join their associations. Like I'm a part of 4 or 5 associations, like International Center for Students, um, Black Lives Matter Association. It's a very big hashtag, and we are really concerned about it. So I'm a part of that association as well. I'm supporting homosexual rights over here as well. I do a lot of things. I can be a part of a number of activities, and you just have to be there when they organize some event. Uh, Shout on the street if you want, of course, in a civilized manner, and yeah, that's okay. It's fun.
Okay. Right. Tanmay Banerjee's question: how much of money do you self-finance, or how do you balance your self-finance, or how do you get your funding?
I was financed by my parents, um, and some of it was through loan. So the thing is that I earn enough right now to support my expenses for the house and for the car and everything. But I still save some money from it, and that is I've already started repaying my loan for the same. And like when I say repaying the loan, that does not mean I've started returning it. I've just started putting money in a separate account where I can, pay it at lump sum once the loan period ends.
Okay. So, you took a loan amount only for the first semester, right? You need to pay only for the first semester and your
Yeah, just one semester I took a loan. Yeah.
one semester. So this one is going to help you to pay the fourth semester.
My internship will not be able to support in fully, but it would
Okay.
because because it is because there are some that due to this COVID, we had some pay cuts, and we also had some less number of paydays. So in US, the salary is paid every 15 days,
Okay.
unlike India, which is monthly, and tax is also deducted every 15 days. So more tax
Okay.
than the Indian community, but for sure. So yes, but I think I will be able to finance at least 60% of my expenses for second semester,
That's a good
which
deal.
is
That's a good.
it's a good deal. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Radhika's question is: are there going to be any changes in the OTP rules or PT rules?
Yeah, I was thinking one time password, when does this come from?
Yeah,
Okay.
I usually split up.
It's okay. It's okay. Just kidding with you. So, OPT rules are so. Please understand that why the OPT rule change came in. It was to protect the US economy, and to there were like so many people, correction, American people who are without jobs, and they wanted to, ensure that it's not really it's really very humane of them to think about it, because you can't have people from different nationalities working for you when your own population is unemployed. So they're just trying to protect that, and as soon as the economy recovers, pretty much this will you know go back on track. So I don't think precisely that OPT this cancellation and STEM extension reduction would be effective by the end of next year.
Right. I think we have a seminar, for last 3 weeks also, we have been re-emphasizing that having a, optional practical training, OPT, suspension or a ban will impact viewers more than anyone else. So I think that's what, people understand, because that's what they're not touching the optional practical training right now. Let's see what they're going to do, because elections is in November. There's going to be a lot more talk, and whatever favors in order to get re-elected is what people will be talking about. Okay. Question on economy. When do you think it'll recover? U.S. economy is a question from Sanini. I think you already answered, but you can tell your reasoning behind why the economy bounce back faster.
Okay, so just reiterating KK's point here. So Oxford did a study, and they estimated a loss of $70 million every semester if they stop bringing the foreign nationalities to the US. So a very but important and very compulsive reason for them to keep continuing the same. Now, the U.S. economy is expected to be bouncing back by the end of September, first week of October, which is usually the prime time for college placements. The college placement, of course, will be held virtually this year, as this semester as well, the fall semester. So yes, but why do I say that? Is that the economy has already started to revive. The factories are already running at 100%, and this is why, because so the factory with the company for which I work is not FMCG. It's not fast moving goods, fast consumable goods. It's an automobile industry. But still we are producing at 120%. That means that people are exactly lining up to buy the cars, and people are actually, so all those, so we have our various clients, and they are actually producing cars. So all of this is based on some market research, right? It's no one will store 20,000 cars in their inventory, like keep adding 20,000 cars to their inventory every day. No one in the right mind would do that, but they are still producing cars at 120% capacity, which means that they are very much confident
Just
that the
demand.
demand will bounce back.
Okay, right. So question from Banu is that how placements happen in US? Is it similar to India or how is it different?
India colleges is one company comes, you apply for that. How do you apply? You give an aptitude, you get sort. If you manage to pass through it, then you do a GD, TI, whatever, and then GD, and then technical interview, and then the person interview. Person interview is just a formality. Here, nothing like that. So imagine that you are going to a fair, mela jaise kehte hain, and when you go to a fair, what happens is you have various stalls in there. Now all those stalls, they are selling their goods. Now just the reverse happens here. You go to the stall, you sell yourself there. You have to project yourself, you have to sell your profile that yes, I am a good fit for your company, hire me. So if they like your profile, they will usually uh, so most of the companies schedule the interviews within those placement days. So within 2 days or 3 days, depending on the company, when they applied for that placement slot, they will get that placement slot. In Purdue, there are 400 companies that come for placements. So imagine that the placement week is like 1 week, and interviews happen all over the week. So there are several places where there are interviews going on, and once the interview is done, that's a second step. Then the third step is the management review. So in which the company will either call you towards to their headquarters, or they will schedule a Skype interview with their management, and then usually they will give back the offer pretty much soon. Some companies take really less time to do this, like my company. I'll name the company as well, for Clean Mobility. They are really awesome people in this. They did not keep me waiting for anything, like no result waiting, nothing. They were like this, like ready on track. Some companies prolong this period to 3 months. Very tiring, very much stressing. So I'll not name those companies. I have an offer from them, but I will not name them. It's not appropriate.
Right. Okay. So question is that, okay. Okay. Somi's question is, do you think lottery system will be reformed to high-paying criteria will be bad for us? Actually, on contrary, it will be advantageous because master students are the ones who are paid high. So getting an H-1B visa, see, we have to compare, Somi, you have to compare people who's going to US to do masters and getting a job versus people who are traveling from India or China to do a on-site job. I think master students get paid more, so you have a better opportunity to get a H-1B visa. Okay, if you're okay.
Also, your college helps in this.
Okay, college also helps. Right.
College reputation.
College reputation matters, is it, in getting an H-1B?
No, based on the new merit system, it will matter.
New merit system, yeah, right. If you're saying that the OPT changes would not be effect by end of next year, so that means that OPT period has already been withdrawn in US. Radhika, I don't think so. That's the point conveyed. OPT is not withdrawn at all.
I'll say this. OPT has not been withdrawn, just the extension has been withdrawn. So the way OPT function is that you get 1 year of mandatory OPT no matter which masters you do. But if you are from a STEM, that is science, technology, engineering, and M is for management. No, not management. M is for mathematics. My bad. Sorry. Thank you for correcting me, KK. So if you do that STEM thing, then you get additional 2 years for your OPT. So that additional 2 years has been right now suspended and not taken away.
I don't. Okay, let me check on it because only H-1B has been done, not no
OPT also he announced. He announced it last night.
Okay.
So
right. Okay. Right. So I think that's also
from our college.
Right. So till December the end, is it?
No, it will be only till September. It
Only
won't
till
affect in
September.
any manner.
I won't affect any one of us there, right? Okay,
Because
even for
most of the
people.
people who are on OPT also extension, they have got a 6-month extension as well.
Right. I think, yeah, I think it's doing, elections are becoming more and more relevant now with more
Yes.
news coming. Okay. Right. I'm trying to find any questions which are related to mechanical or automobile. Is it possible to get I think you already answered the question. Can I get internship as well through career fast is a question which I asked.
I could not catch the question. Sorry, KK.
Can we get internships as well through career fairs?
So career fairs, the first career fair you will understand when you apply for it, that it is quite possible that you get an internship offer from the career fairs. Most of the companies will ask you to apply online, and they sometimes provide you a code which you need to enter. It never happened in my case, so I cannot really vouch for it. But it is said that companies do take care of it, but they will take your resume. They will always visit your LinkedIn profile. So make sure that is LinkedIn profile is a very big important factor in here. And I would suggest that you keep your LinkedIn profile really updated because people really recruit to LinkedIn here. Like I have
Right.
received so many offers from LinkedIn.
From LinkedIn. Okay, good. So being active on LinkedIn is more important than Insta or FB.
That is
No.
that is a matter of choice. Like
Right. Okay.
like both has its own advantages. One is for socializing with the friends and peers. LinkedIn is just for professional. Do not post any
Right.
like, yeah, I'm going for a trip here. Don't do that. Highly unprofessional.
Right. Neha, that's what I'm also checking. Okay, I'll also find any news on OPT. If there's any news available, we'll definitely share it. Okay. Okay. One important question. Maybe we'll end our session with this. Any difference shown with FM students who are posing, maybe international student with Native Americans doing placement? Any difference shown?
So I'll answer this question like this. So when you go for a career fair, the list of the companies that are going to come is already out.
Okay.
With at least 1 or 2 weeks before the career fair is actually about to take place, and they have a very strict like some companies are very strict about whether they will hire or not international students, and some companies are really lenient about it. Like they will say that they don't hire, but they do it anyway. So
Right.
getting in touch with your placement cell helps you a lot. Alumni feedback, because if you see an Indian working at a firm which says does not hire, like for example, I applied for Deloitte because I have my seniors working there, and Deloitte officially states while coming for placement that they will not hire international students. So knowing your seniors there is important. Knowing the fact that so usually placement cells have a page on this, like which companies say that they don't hire, but they actually do. Purdue has it. I'm sure about it, about my college at least. And then you can apply to those colleges. And also sometimes there is no harm in trying to apply. Like I applied to I finished with my applications on day 2 during the lunchtime, and I was like, I have 3 more hours left. Let me apply to a few more companies, and I applied. It did not hurt me; just helped me to learn more about myself, what mistakes I make, so that I do not screw up the interview process anymore. So yeah, it's always an advantage, and plus you get free goodies. Don't forget that.
Right. Okay. Right. So maybe before we leave, one last question for audience. If you like Jaresh to help you with the GRE preparation or admission counseling or profile building, just like how we help Abhimanyu in this GRE or admission, you can answer this poll here. And after that, we can, if there's 1 or 2 questions, I can pick up.
Quick comment on the people. You will not get free goodies this year because the career fairs are happening virtually, so not
Right,
exactly conducive. They will not be sending you free goodies via email, so don't worry about it.
Okay, thank you for answering the poll, guys. Okay, moving forward, maybe one last question, and because Abhijit is attending all the seminars, I'll ask this question finally. How does a normal day go about during your master's studies? Not during internship, maybe during master's.
So my normal day was like my normal day. I can say I used to go back. I used to reach my library at 6 a.m. in the morning.
Okay.
So
Too early,
6
too early for many of us, but
too early. Yeah, no, but I had 5 courses, so please understand that there were too many assignments, as I said, and the deadlines are pretty rigid. So 6 to 9, I used to complete my assignments. I have a really, I made this rule during my final year when I realized that I should have done it earlier. But I usually complete my assignments within the week so that I do not have to be stressed about late submissions and all those things. Because here, if you submit late, it is graded 0. So it's like it just removes the motivation for submitting it entirely because you get it straight away. It's graded 0. And also, when you submit early, there is no chance that you will be charged for any plagiarism because when you're submitting early, you really cannot copy from anyone. So you won't be charged for plagiarism. That eliminates a lot of problems here like that. So I used to complete my like 6 to 9. I used to usually go for my assignments. Then 9 to 1:32, I had like classes back to back. Like I had planned it in such a manner, and then I used to have my lunch, usually pizza or something, and then I used to again work on my assignments till 5. After 5, I used to stop with everything, go to my dance classes, hang out with friends,
Okay.
um, and do some like I wanted to apply for Purdue Police and all those things, so did not get through that semester. Next semester for sure, and then surveying the nearby areas, hanging out. 8 or 9, I'll return home. Then maybe study a book or something for hour or so, listen to music, going to sleep, waking up at 6 again in the morning, repeating the schedule. So 4 or 5 hours in a day on an average for your assignments and study purposes. That includes Sunday, of course, and you're done with it.
Right. Okay. I think that's it. We are done with SOP part. I think we'll have one more session on YouTube. We'll have a lot of questions posted there. Thank you, Abhimanyu, joining us from Purdue quite early on Saturday. I think most of our students have got a lot of information from you, the life at Purdue and knowledge which you're sharing about the universities and the life. I think it's very informative. So let me ask our students, like, how did you find a session, guys? How was it? Was it helpful for you? Okay, Abhijit says very informative. Sonia says very informative. Thanks, insightful. Okay, right.
Good to know.
I think Abhimanyu, you have given a lot more information because more informed information is very necessary. I think Naman is also planning to do MEM. Maybe you might be able to see him next year. Okay. So thank you, guys. Once again, thank you, Abhimanyu, for sharing this information. Maybe after you go to Purdue, we can have one more seminar, maybe next year, same time, and just pre-pitching early.
For sure. And then I would give you a tour of Purdue as well. You know,
definitely, we will
show you
some
really good libraries over there, some really good, the famous engineering fountain, the famous clock tower. It's a myth that if you walk under the clock tower once, every time you walk under the clock tower and just chiming, you add a semester to your graduation. So something that we'll explain that as well.
Absolutely. We love to ask your stories from you. We'd love to see the stories from yourself. So once you're back to Purdue, we'll definitely have you back here. See, this is what we do. We love to change students' life. We happily did that. For GRE preparation, admission counseling, we definitely help you out doing that. So in a way, we are happy where you are, and we want you to share the happiness of what we have achieved by you. So please do visit us again and again, and thank you once again. So until next time, this is Tamakon signing off with Abhimanyu. I'll see you next coming week, and Abhimanyu next year from Purdue. Thank you.
Sure thing.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.